Aquí estamos. Buenas tardes. ¿Me escuchas? ¿Me escuchas bien? Hopefully you can hear me. ¿Cómo se suena? Déjame saber. Que todo suena bien. And that you can hear me good. All right. Un minuto. Vamos a empezar. I just want to start with why I decided to do this live stream in the first place, which was primarily to do my own self-reflection. And I haven't really posted anything on my YouTube channel yet about my Spanish learning journey this year too much. And I know it's really good for a lot of other Spanish learners to be able to look at what other Spanish learners are doing so they can understand different difficulties that they're going through. Because I know when I watch other YouTubers that are also learning Spanish, that helps me to figure out how I can improve my Spanish skills. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Thanks for joining. I'm just talking about right now why I'm doing this live stream right now, basically just to talk about my experience learning Spanish this year, because I like to do a little self-reflection. I think every Spanish learner should do that as well, mostly because if you just study all the time and you don't reflect on what you're doing, then you don't really know exactly where you want to go. So for example, if I'm talking right now about what I was studying back in January, I can reflect and think to myself if those were good study methods, or what did I do wrong, what could I do better. So that's basically what I wanted to talk about. So looking back to this year in January, my biggest goals were to increase my listening comprehension as usual, my speaking abilities, and also be able to talk about gym vocabulary and also cooking. So I was watching a lot of videos about like how to cook different recipes all in Spanish. So basically, for that, what I would do is go to YouTube and then I would look up como preparar el pollo o ¿cómo se dice? Como el pechuga de pollo, algo así. So like, how do you prepare chicken? And then whatever pops up on YouTube would be all in Spanish because I'm asking in Spanish. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Hey, thanks for joining. Is anyone using YouTube to learn Spanish at all? Because I use it probably every single day to look up mostly Spanish content. So, like I was just saying right there, looking at how to prepare food in Spanish, because that helped me a lot. And then basically anything. You can look up like, how do you rollerblade in Spanish? How do I cook how do I cook ribs, like whatever you want basically in Spanish, just kind of like Google was actually like owned by Google. So you can do any kind of search that you want, and then you'll able to get exactly what you need for the most part. How to clean in Spanish. Qué bueno. Estás aprendiendo español. Qué bueno. Estoy sudando. Hace calor aquí. Hace calor. Uf. So I watched a lot of YouTube like the first month, and then also I wanted to increase my gym vocabulary, so I was studying that as well, but not that much, honestly. But I should have been doing a lot better with that, because I basically stopped looking at all my cooking videos. I stopped looking at all my gym videos in Spanish on YouTube like the second month. So in February, I stopped doing that. I made flashcards for cooking, and then I stopped. I started making them. Then I also stopped I also stopped reviewing those flashcards as well, like month 2, just because I got really, really bored. So that's something that you have to look out for, is when you do get bored, what do you do when you're bored, when you're studying Spanish, how to push through that. And for me, that was extremely difficult because I just had really no idea what to do. And I started losing motivation that fast in February. And in like the beginning of March, I lost motivation for the goals that I was trying to reach with Spanish. And yeah, to get past that, I basically just studied other things. So instead of watching like YouTube videos about cooking that I got really like incredibly bored, I started watching, was it Top Chef Mexico? That was on YouTube as well. And let's see, I stopped. Actually, I didn't even get too much to studying like Spanish vocabulary with the like with gym stuff because that just seemed really boring to me. I don't like necessarily just sitting down and learning that way. At least at the time, I didn't. So I just didn't even do it. But is anyone using YouTube to learn Spanish at all? And if you do, what channels are you watching? Because that would be good to know. Because I use, you mean not as much as I should. So what do you mean by not as much as you should? Like, does it really help you watching like YouTube videos in Spanish? Yeah, and like these questions are for everybody. They're not just for like one single person. But I use YouTube videos every single day basically. Yeah, this is a lazy way of learning a language. Ah, it can be lazy. It can be lazy, but it depends on I think what you're trying to do. Like for me, I always focus on all the different components of language learning, right? So I focus on trying to increase my pronunciation skills, my listening comprehension, my speaking skills, writing, reading, so on and so forth. So I feel like I can still do that with YouTube. If I watch, well, maybe not too much of reading, but if I'm watching a YouTube video about cooking, what I usually do is is watch the video and then I'll imitate exactly what I'm seeing on the video, right? So I like to imitate. That really helps for increasing my pronunciation. It's going to help with my vocabulary because what I'm doing is just using what not a negative way. Okay, I see. Yep, I got you. But yeah, I like to like imitate what other Spanish speakers are doing. Yeah, that's one really good method. Imitate exactly what they do. I mean, that's primarily how I increase my pronunciation skills right now and my vocabulary. I just use exactly what Spanish speakers tell me. You tell me, cómo estás, cómo fue tu día, and then I'll respond exactly to what you just said. Hola, thanks for coming back. Good to see you. And then yeah, so same thing. So in case my pronunciation skills, I increase my vocabulary skills all with YouTube, and then even my writing skills as well because the vocabulary that I'm learning in that particular video. Like last night, I was watching videos about how to dance the salsa, but that was all in Spanish. I'm hearing what these Spanish speakers are saying. They're dancing at the same time, and then I just take that vocabulary that I just heard. I would write it down and then I would have like a little writing session, and then I would just write down what those different vocabulary words that I had on that list. Let's see, maybe I'm not so much sit with a book and study grammar, verbs, etc. Yeah, no, that can be very difficult. There's some for me. It depends on the day. Some days I feel like sitting down and actually focusing on all those things, on reading a book, studying grammar and verbs. But like other days, I don't want to do that at all. I just want to listen to Spanish music. I just want to put on Netflix and watch a TV show. So for me, definitely, it depends on how I'm feeling that day. Um, So if you don't like doing those things, what type of study methods do you use to learn Spanish? That's what I like to know. Know for you, only quality people. Yeah, because if I'm not doing those things either, I'm usually having just conversations with Spanish speakers. So that could be on Italki, or that could be um, with my Spanish speaking friends. Spanish in the escuela, so I don't know how too much, but I know a lot more than I used to. That's good. What's that? Barracorn? Barracorn? Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's where I started learning Spanish, was in school. And it helped me a decent amount. It gave me a good foundation, that's for sure. It gave me a good foundation and be able to conjugate verbs, all the basic vocabulary that I would need. So that helped out a lot. My only quality people will mainly speaking with Spanish friends and using Duolingo. Oh, okay, very nice. Well, I mean, don't you think like Duolingo is kind of like studying? It's kind of like studying grammar, or do you not study grammar at all? Because I know there's like a little tips button that you can click on, and then you can see all the different grammar concepts for that particular lesson. Do you use that at all, or are you just kind of going through them? Veracon, the buns, es muy fácil, divertida, sí, estoy de acuerdo contigo. Aprendiendo español es una maravilla. I would prepare material in Spanish that I sometimes had the opportunity to present to native speakers. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's a great way. That's a great way as well. I feel like that's basically what I do every single day when I'm learning Spanish. Everything that I do, like I have all these books. I got these books. I have my notebook where I write like all my like my Spanish diary. Everything that I do every single day is prepare myself for those types of moments to have conversations with Spanish speakers. So I can definitely agree with that. It is kind of like a presentation. You study so much, and then you get to that actual interaction with the native speaker, and then that's your test right there. So I definitely agree with that. That's really fun. It's having let's see, yeah, I met a lot of Spanish speakers this year, a lot. And starting back in January, I started meeting a lot in the gym. But the first thing I had to do to meet these Spanish speakers was actually talk to them. Was go up to them, say "Hola, cómo estás," that kind of thing, to start these types of interactions, and then later on friendships. I think that's one of the difficult things for a Spanish learner is speaking up. It doesn't matter how you feel in that very moment. You can be very scared. You feel like you don't have enough vocabulary. But the best thing you can do in those types of moments is like just to speak exactly what you know, and you're gonna have a little bit of fear when you're speaking. Like right now, I have a little bit of fear when I'm speaking right now, and I'm speaking English, right? If I'm speaking with, or if I have like my first conversation with a Spanish speaker that I don't know, it's the same exact thing. I always have a little bit of fear when I'm speaking to someone, but at the very least, I'm still attempting to do it, and I'm trying to get to the conversation. And I think that's a reason that a lot of Spanish speakers or Spanish learners they may not try to speak Spanish because they let that fear stop them. But if you realize it's just like a feeling, it's not like there's like a wall in front of you, there's like a door in front of you that you can't open, right? You can open that, you can just go up freely and start talking to a Spanish speaker and have a really good conversation. But you just have to get over that fear of speaking, and that you're going to make mistakes and all that kind of thing. And understand, because that happens to me all the time, like basically every single day when I'm having conversations with Spanish speakers. It's very difficult to do, but once you get into that habit of consistently doing it, then it's going to get easier. Absolutely. Es muy fácil, divertida. But yeah, if you have any Spanish speakers in your community, whether that's, for me, I can meet a lot in the gym. I can meet a lot at the store. Kind of basically, I mean, the most basic places, I'm able to not necessarily like find them, but like, they're there. And then, make that decision whether I want to go up and have a conversation with them. And because I've done this before, like many times I've been able to, start really good friendships with people. Let's see here. Yes, my Spanish teacher is really good. It's a good thing I'm learning young. Last topic I was on, I was talking about a house in Espanol. Okay, bueno. Yeah, I definitely recommend starting when you're young. That's really good. It's summer next year, not being Spanish to learn so much for it. ¿No? Qué bueno. No, eso es súper genial. Me alegro saberlo. Que estás aprendiendo tanto. Because I wish I studied more, or I wish I continued learning in high school, because when my sophomore year of high school, I stopped learning Spanish because it was so hard, and I felt like I couldn't learn it at all, so I quit. Spanish dos. Okay. Español dos. Que bueno. Yeah, don't quit. I don't care how hard it is. Like, never quit learning Spanish. It's definitely a really useful skill, and yeah, it's definitely a life changer. It changed my life a lot. And so for next year, yeah, I think if you have a really good foundation too when you're younger, I think that really helps. At least as far as like how would I put this? Like making mistakes. Like for me, I have a lot of gaps when I speak Spanish or when I write Spanish because I forgot a lot of the grammar. I went from high school and then I went from high school and then I started studying Spanish again in college, but then I didn't really relearn a lot of the grammar. I just started studying. I started cramming a lot of information in my brain, but I didn't really have any of the concepts down of speaking Spanish, reading in Spanish, and writing as well. And then when I went from college to now, so like the past 3 years, I've been learning Spanish on my own. So not taking formal classes. That's when it's like the same thing. I wasn't reviewing any of the previous grammar concepts that I should have been learning. I should have went. I'm basically like a beginner and reviewing all the foundational aspects of Spanish, but I didn't do that. So right now, like I have to catch up again. I have to go back and like review a whole bunch of the basic Spanish grammar concepts because I just forget because I've never really studied it. I was trying to study really advanced vocabulary and topics, but I shouldn't have done that. I should have just started at the basic, or at least like reviewing the basics, while also trying to become like an immediate learner and then also an advanced learner. So what other methods are you guys learning, or what other methods are you using to learn Spanish? That's one question I have for you. I like to hear all the different methods that people are using because there's a lot, and I haven't tried them all. And that's a big goal of mine too, to try as many methods of learning Spanish as possible. So what do y'all do? Now we have Duolingo, we have YouTube, we have someone who's in school learning Spanish. What else? I've been using a lot of Italki this year. Since February, like beginning of February, I've been using Italki heavily because I want to increase my conversational skills and also get over my fear of speaking. Good question. Yeah, there's a ton. Let me know what you think, or what methods are you using? What other methods are you using besides Duolingo and speaking Spanish with your friends? Using school to help because of vocab we studied. I've been using school to learn Spanish, but it's helpful because of vocab we use to study new words in Spanish. Okay, very nice. Yeah, vocab acquisition is very important. I think that's how you go from kind of like a beginner learner to an advanced learner, or from a beginner to an intermediate to an advanced learner, is always just acquiring new vocabulary words. I feel like if you just stop learning vocabulary, then at least like base knowledge of vocabulary, you can get kind of limited to what you can talk about. Then also your conversations. I know for me, yes, I agree. Yeah, like for me, it's before I could only talk about certain topics with my Spanish speaking friends, and then I realized if I actually want to have longer conversations, 30-minute conversations, an hour long conversation, or a 5 hour long conversation, then I would have to increase my vocabulary, but not only just increase the vocabulary, but know how to use them as well. Because that's very important. You need to be able to understand how you can like use that vocabulary word uh, in context as well. So that's kind of when I started to deepen my knowledge and vocabulary in the Spanish language as well. And that's kind of what helped me get from an intermediate learner, I would say, to an advanced learner. Is just studying more vocabulary words, because there's so much to learn. You honestly, you never stop learning. You never stop learning. There's so much to study, so many different topics. Like right now, I'm studying vocabulary that's related to dancing, and I would have never thought that I would do something like that. Or I'm trying to study vocabulary that's related to like climate and temperature and like the weather, and that's something that I never studied that much. I have like basic knowledge of weather vocabulary, like, and that's why I want to be able to talk more about it. Because if I go somewhere and if I travel to like a country, Latin America or wherever, a state within my country, I want to be able to explain how exactly that the weather is in that particular state or in that particular country. So instead of just saying, "Oh, hace frío, hace calor," yo quiero hablar más sobre el clima y las temporadas durante el año, cuando está seca y todo eso, like when it's dry and cuando está húmedo, because people get very descriptive. At least my friends have been very descriptive when it comes to talking about like the weather of their home countries, and I'm like, well, I can't really do that, so I can't have like a long conversation about that. But what other methods do you guys use to learn Spanish? That's what I really want to know. Me too in Spanish. Yo también. And also I want to say it almost every conversation, but I don't know how to say it. Yeah, you're gonna say yo también. Yo también. That was pretty simple. De nada. Es mi placer. Yeah, but even with that, something simple as that, like yo también, or a mí también, that really helps with like during a conversation so much. It's always the simplest thing that really helps. But yeah, back with the vocabulary. Let's see. One thing I like to do is use flashcards and then like write pictures and stuff out. I'm like this. This is amarrar, which means like to tie. So the picture I have on here is like a little shoe and then shoelaces, and that helps me to like learn vocabulary sometimes. If it's like a very difficult word, because this, like amarrar, like I can't make a connection between my native tongue, which is English, and then Spanish. Like for me, that doesn't really make much sense. Like there's not really a word I can think of in English right now that's going to help me like memorize this word. So then I just like write pictures and I just try to like force myself to make a connection. Amarrar, and that's something that's super easy. I didn't learn this word till until this year actually. Amarrar, and I learned that word from actually a YouTube video. I was watching a YouTube video about can't remember what specific recipe was about cooking in Spanish, and they said I think They talk about like tying up something, whether it was like some chicken legs or something like that. And like that's the first time that I heard the word, which is kind of weird because it's a very, you would think it's a very basic word that you would hear all the time. But after all these years, I've heard it for the first time, or at least like recognized it from a Spanish speaker this year. So I think that's really funny. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of simple things that I learned this year that I can't believe I didn't learn like 3 years ago or 4 years ago. Like agua is a feminine noun. It's not masculine. So it's actually la agua, but I always thought it was el agua. So that was quite embarrassing. And I actually just learned that 2 weeks ago. So that was kind of weird. But yeah, in some cases, you can say el agua. I don't know what those cases are, but or like which situations you would say el agua. But yeah, it's a feminine noun, and I didn't know that all this time until this year. Even though I say it basically every single day, like dame agua or stuff like that. But yeah, that's it's always like the simplest things that I don't know that really like impress me of how much I don't learn like with the Spanish language. Like for example, the word I ahora. I used to say that incorrectly all the time. The correct pronunciation is ahora, so it's spelled ahoro, but I used to say it like iota with like a y, iota, but that's not how you pronounce it. And I was literally saying that up until I think like the like the middle of this year that I was saying ahora incorrectly. So then if I was saying ahora incorrectly, I was also saying ahorita incorrectly. So that was like a very hard word for me to pronounce correctly. I even had like one of my Spanish speaking friends, like they had to explain how to pronounce this word to me for like 30 minutes straight because like it wasn't clicking in my head of how easy it is to pronounce it, because it's literally just saying ah and then ora, because la h is muda, it's silenciosa, it's silent. So if you know that the h is silent, you just cut that part out, and then you just say, or then you just pronounce each letter in that word. So that's just ora. But for whatever reason, for years and years, that never clicked in my head. And I think that's what's funny about learning Spanish sometimes. It's like simple things, like the most simplest things can really increase your understanding of the language. Like if like with the H's, not pronouncing H's, then you're gonna start to understand like why certain Spanish speakers are saying certain words, a certain way, because they're not saying their H's. Okay, that makes sense. Why not? Well, because the H is silent. Unless I think it's with like certain letters, like chocolate. Technically, you're pronouncing the H, but it's just not like a sound. But yeah, that was super interesting. You have to really train your mind not to say words that include H. I've been doing that all this year. So like hielo, which is ice, so it's not hielo, but it's hielo, which is really weird too, because for me, I feel like I'm hearing it, but I'm not hearing it. Like the same thing with huevos. Huevos, it has an H in front of it, but you don't say that H. It's just huevos. But it almost sounds like that Spanish speaker is saying huevos, but it's not. It's just like the air that they're pushing out, huevos. So like they're very similar, but you just can't say the H. Lo siento. But I want to know what different Spanish words do you find difficult to pronounce? I know there's got to be some, because for me, almost all of them are. Like inmediatamente, immediately. Or what else? Filosofia, psicología, all those like IA words that are professions are very difficult for me to pronounce. So what words do you guys find very difficult to pronounce? Let's see what you got. Eggs and bones you mentioned. Okay. Lunch. Okay, almuerzo. Egg. So yeah, huevos. Practice that. Don't say the H. Try not to say the H. And then, oh yeah, also I guess for pronunciation, the name Adriana is difficult for some reason. Diego. Yeah, I think with pronunciation, um, it really has to do, I think, with your mouth. So you have to exaggerate a lot of the words. So that's why when I speak, I open up my mouth a lot because with Spanish, it's like that. With English, we kind of just we don't. It's kind of hard to explain. Como muy difícil para decir explicar, but it's like that. Explicar, no es explicar. So you have to really open up your mouth and try to exaggerate as much as you can, so you can stress each of those letters in that word. So for like huevos, you have to say it like huevos, huevos. It's not huevos, huevos, right? So that's one thing. And then bones. Oh man, am I forgetting what bones is? Oh yeah, almost forgot. Hueso. So yeah, that's actually very close. So you have los huevos, and then you also have los huesos. So those are actually very similar. I'm happy you that you mentioned those. That's really funny. Los huevos y los huesos, and that's kind of the same thing. Hueso, hueso. You just have to exaggerate your mouth movements a lot. Only quality people. Yeah, no, they definitely are very close. I never realized that they were. And then almuerzo, and if you're in Spain, you probably say almuerzo like with the th. Almuerzo. Yeah, that one's kind of weird because you had the u or the u, and then the e. No, excuse me, and then the a. So al, you have to really stress that. Al, open your mouth when you say that the a. You have muerzo. So that one is kind of difficult, especially if you try to say it really fast. I know I have that issue. El almuerzo, el almuerzo, el almuerzo. So you just have to keep like repeating it over and over again until you get it. And the same thing. Let's see. Okay, I thought I had a piece of paper there. Get a piece of paper, get a pen, get a piece of paper, write it down, and then go to SpanishDict.com. And then once you go to that website, that online Spanish dictionary, you're going to be able to actually get the pronunciation of that particular word. I use it all the time, so I know how to pronounce every single word. But then also which part of the word to stress, right? Because you're not just saying just one, not just saying just like the word, but you also have to figure out which part of the word to stress. For example, with like hueso, it's not like hueso, but it's just el hueso. Así, tan suave. So it's not like broken up. What was I going over that? Oh yeah, with Spanish Dict. Spanish Dict has definitely saved my pronunciation skills, or has made my pronunciation skills a lot better. So I would definitely, leverage that when you're trying to pronounce words. And then, going back to the basics, I've been really focusing on the Spanish alphabet this year as well. So going back and like, it doesn't matter like what kind of video it is. I mean, like very beginner words, word reference. Okay, I've used word reference. I don't remember if they teach you how to pronounce it. They might have the like the little volume button, I think, on there. But yeah, I'll definitely check that out as well. Thanks for the resource. But yeah, this year I've been going back to the Spanish alphabet to help me say Spanish words a lot better. Let's see, word reference. Yeah. Tell me pronounce Spanish words a lot easier, because that's really all it takes. From what I've been hearing from other Spanish learners, is just that they're not able to, or they're not pronouncing like letters appropriately. So like one being hueso, or saying hueso versus hueso. Gonzi loves Spanish. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Traveling, vowels and accents. Yeah, absolutely, absolutamente. Hasta luego. Lunch. So Luther Williams, you have lunch, el almuerzo, and then you also have traveling. So it would be en gracias. Traveling. So traveling, or travel is el viaje. So you want to say, como viajando. So traveling is viajando, del verbo viajar. So I think with that one, you just have to make sure that you pronounce be con be. So V in English would be be. So viajando. I guess like what specifically about that word do you find difficult to pronounce? And then Ganzi loves Spanish. We're just talking about like what words are difficult to pronounce in Spanish. And then a YouTube subscription. Ya suscrito a mi canal. Muchas gracias. Me alegra saberlo. Welcome, bienvenido a mi canal. Thanks for, I hope my content is helping you a lot. Absolutely. Thanks. Appreciate it. So yeah, what other words you guys find difficult to say? I think, there's a lot of words. I usually write down all the words that I can't say correctly, and then I look up how to say them on Spanish Dick, and then I focus like a whole week on how to pronounce just one word. That's how I've been tackling my Spanish pronunciation skills like this year a lot. Or if I'm speaking with one of my Spanish speakers, then I can get that in real time in the conversation. I asked them specifically, what did I say wrong? Or how do you say that? Or cómo se escribe? I say that a lot too. Cómo se escribe? Cómo se escribe esa palabra? Which means, how do you write this word? Historia principiante la pronunciación. Así es. Literalmente, yo he tenido el mismo problema este año con principiante. Principiante es muy difícil. Because it's like with a P. Principiante. What else? Let me see what else. Principiante. So that's 5 syllables. Y principio. Yeah, the R thing is kind of hard. The P and the R combination makes it a little bit difficult to say that. El principio, look at that. ya me estoy equivocando también. Pero historia is like the same thing I was explaining earlier. I think you might just have to kind of open up your mouth and just like make some exaggerated movements like with your mouth. So historia, like that. Instead of just doing like this, historia, you really have to stress those. You really have to stress each of those letters. So let's see here. Con la primera letra es H, so no se pronuncia la H. No se pronuncia. Es muda. So you don't pronounce H. So it's just E. And then that's also difficult because if you're like a native English speaker, you're going to be thinking, I have to say I instead of E. But you have to say E and then storia. The last part is fairly easy, but I think the beginning part might mix you up with la H and then la E. So it's just historia. It's not historia, but historia. And I guess the last part can be difficult too because you have to say the E again. So it's historia. It's not historia like you think in English. It's not ia. It's not like ia. It's ia historia. He said, I used to forget. Ganzi loves Spanish. I used to just forget how it's pronounced. H es silencioso. Sí. Exacto. Sí. Like I'm telling, like this is like literally like what I do, like all day long. I'll write down the different words that I don't know, or if I don't know how to pronounce them, or if I forgot, and then I look them up all the time throughout the week. I look them up. I got my I got my phone on me right now, but I'll get my phone out. I'll go on Spanish Dick on the app, because I have the app on my phone, and then I just click that little translator button, and then I know exactly how to pronounce it. Just after that one little click, and then I repeat that throughout the day. I repeat that throughout the week. So that is kind of like my main method for increasing my pronunciation skills, and it's been working, really easily. It doesn't take much. You really just need like the alphabet. You need the alphabet, and then a few of those grammar rules, like with the H. But the rest is just a lot of practice. The rest is a lot of practice. Like I was saying earlier, do you have a preferred accent or just neutral Spanish? Ganzi loves Spanish as so. Hola, language learning lover. Bienvenidos al video en vivo. Thanks for coming. So I don't have a preferred accent right now. I mean, so I've only been studying on my own, so outside of formal Spanish classes for the past 3 years. So in 2019, I graduated college. So May of 2019. So since then until now, I've been studying Spanish on my own. And the first year, I was not really focused on too much of any like specific Spanish accent whatsoever. I was just trying to just consume a lot of Spanish material. And then the second year, in 2020, I was trying to focus on the Mexican accent, but like I quit like right away because I thought it was too hard. I was watching a lot of telenovelas, and I was watching a lot of Netflix shows. And I tried to learn it, but I couldn't. It was too difficult for me. Love your enthusiasm for Spanish. Oh, thank you. Mi entusiasmo, sí, es muy alto, en verdad. Es súper alto. No, yo me enamoré de español, o de aprender español. Me enamoré completamente. Spanish has changed my life completely. Watching Netflix shows in Spanish, that's amazing. Being able to understand a TV show in Spanish, being able to read in Spanish, like these skills are they're phenomenal. Me asombra esta habilidad para aprender y hablar en otro idioma con otras personas, con nativos y todo eso. Like it's amazing. Oh yeah, let me answer your question, because I lose my train of thought really easy if you haven't noticed. So that's why I write things down. So I tried the fenomenal. Es una de mis palabras favoritas. En español. Sí, qué bueno. Fenomenal. I like that too. Fenomenal. So yeah, the Mexican accent, I definitely quit way too early. And I mean, I was only using one method. The only method I was using was listening to them and then trying to repeat what they said. So if I heard them saying a particular phrase or word in that Netflix show, and then I would just repeat it right after, and that was it. I didn't really do any other methods because I didn't know any. Yeah, shadowing, exactly. I didn't know any other methods at the time. Like I was learning all just on my own, and then I quit. So that wasn't a good idea. Other than that, so that was in 2020. 2021 was a big game changer because I went to the Dominican Republic for the first time. I went 2 times, and then I started to learn the Dominican accent a little bit. El acento dominicano, me engancho demasiado, en verdad. Ya tú sabes. But I tried to learn that a little bit, but the same thing. I didn't have any methods for learning the Dominican accent whatsoever. I went there. I tried to speak with as many of the native speakers there as much as possible, and then I started to consume more content on YouTube. Well, me gusta Dominican. Sí, está duro, ¿verdad? Está duro ese acento. También es muy difícil para aprender y escuchar. Siquiera para los hablantes de español, Les cuesta escuchar. It's like this accent there, it's so distinct from all other Spanish accents that I've heard. So for me, it was very difficult to understand them the first time that I went there. Even the second time when I went there, I tried to study before going the second time, and it was still difficult for me to understand them. Language learning lover, los dominicanos hablan tanto rápido. Así es. They carabeñanos. Como carabeños, como del Caribe, ¿verdad? Del Caribe. La gente de los carabeños. Ajá. Así es. Yeah, it's amazing how different Spanish accents are. Uh-huh. Yeah, see, I know what you're saying. I just like for me, I can't think of how to spell that word in my head, so that's why. Carabeño. I think it has like the tilde over the N. Carabeños. C-A-R. Carabeño. No sé. You have to look it up. Tienes que buscarlo para mí. and then comment here. Caribbeans. But yeah, like the first time I went to Dominican Republic and the second time I went to Dominican Republic, la segunda vez y la primera vez, no entendí nada. Literalmente, quizás 10% de lo que dijo la gente, yo era capaz de aprender, pero aparte de eso, casi nada. And I felt like a failure. I thought I was a failure when I went to like Dominican Republic. I did all this studying for, the past 2 years. I was in college. I took Spanish level courses in college, which I'm not saying is a lot, but it was something. And I felt like I was a baby in the Dominican Republic. It was crazy. I guess the first one is ya tu sabe. Ya tu sabe. Técnicamente, que lo que es un saludo, no sé si es una frase. Hola mi gente, hola mi gente, ya tú sabes. Is that a question mark? Or are you, que lo que sí? So ya tú sabes, it's like see, like a lot of these phrases, I don't know how to translate, but this one is just like you already know, ya tú sabes. Like you'll hear that a ton, like at the end of a sentence or at the beginning of a sentence, like you'll hear it all the time. Ya tú sabes. What else? It's like, oh, ya te pasaste. It's like you crossed the line. What else? Ya te pasaste. I remember some other ones. I can remember some like from like Spanish music, from merengue or from la bachata. Wait, Puerto Ricans say ya tú sabes? Maybe. I mean, they're very close. Yeah, I'm trying to remember what other phrases, cuál otras frases yo recuerdo. Se corta la palabra demasiado, es verdad. O también, yo he oído mucha de la gente ahí diciendo cosas como, te voy a decir algo. Like before they say something to you, they're going to say, te voy a decir algo. Like they like narrate what they're about to do. So te voy a decir algo means, I want to tell you something. What else? Oh, mira. I've heard like mira, like a lot of times, like look, mira, te voy a decir algo. Oh, yo quiero explicarte algo. It's like son muy expresivos. What else? I'm trying to think of words that aren't swear words. some clean words, some clean phrases. Sí, de nada, ya tú sabes. Estoy aquí para ti, para ayudarle, ya tú sabes. Así como se dicen las palabras, así. pero se cortan muchas cosas también, como instead of estado, van a decir cosas como estado, o no estoy platicando, o no, como no es platicado, pero es platicado. Y también tenemos pa' aquí, it's not like por aquí, it's like pa' aquí, and then pa' allá, no es para allá, van a decir pa' allá a lot. That one really helped, like that one really tough for me as well. The D is silent. Yeah, or just like no existe, en verdad. No existe. It's funny. It doesn't exist. Do you think in Spanish yet? Todo el tiempo, ya tú sabes, siempre estoy pensando en español como un loco. Esa es la forma mejor para aprender este idioma, en verdad. Mientras estás caminando en la calle, puedes pensar de todo lo que estás viendo en este momento. Que esa es la primera cosa que se me viene a la mente cuando estás caminando en la calle. Oh, yo veo esta gente hablando sobre un tema, no sé, cualquiera. O sea, o también estás pensando en qué quieres comer para el almuerzo. El almuerzo, that's like Spain Spanish. Porfa, Yeah, so I mean, I think Spanish all day long. All day long. And it's taken a long time to do that as well. That was good, porfa. Sí, tienes que pensar en español. Como empezando hoy, tienes que pensar en español todo el día. The first thing I do when I wake up is think in Spanish, or I'm speaking Spanish. Because that's what you have to do. Tienes que imitar lo que están haciendo los hispanohablantes, los latinos, ¿verdad? Tienes que hacerlo. Do you think in Spanish and dream in Spanish? Oh, that's a question for you, language learning lover. Do you think in Spanish or do you dream in Spanish? That's a good conversation. Eso es una buena conversación, hablando de los sueños en español. Qué divertido, qué divertido. Yo pensaba que yo vi latino, YouTube, Blueprints. Yo también, sí. Yo he sonado en español varias veces. I do the same thing. It's hard. I find words that I'm missing. Exactamente, ya tú sabes. Así es lo correcto. Like yesterday, I was trying to open a door and realized I didn't know how to say push or pull in Spanish. See? Exactly. It's the same thing for me. Es la misma cosa. Esta vaina ahí. How to push? I actually do not know how to say pull. I leave the television on, then I start dreaming in Spanish. Very rarely, but it has happened. Tirar. I thought tirar is no. To pull. How do you pull? Like push is empujar. Empuja. Yo empujo. Tú empuja. Tú empujaste la mujer. O tú empujaste el hombre en la piscina. ¿Verdad? Oh, no sabía eso. Tú me estás enseñando tanto. No sabía eso. Wow. Qué sorpresa. And actually, when I was in when I was like in Mexico, Dominican Republic, then you would see that like on doors, right? Like here, excuse me, where I'm living at, the United States, most things are in English, right? You see on a door, you're going to see pull and push. I saw that there when I was in those different countries as well, seeing push and pull. So I remember empujar, but I didn't remember what pull was. So that's kind of cool. I've never left the television on and then started dreaming Spanish, though. I've never done that before. But I've had a few dreams. Actually, I haven't dreamed recently in Spanish. It's actually kind of strange. I don't know why. It's been a while. Sí, echar. Echar. echas de menos. ¿Qué es lo que echaste de menos? That's what like my boss says to me. ¿Qué es lo que echaste de menos? That's a really weird phrase. Echar de menos. I just learned that phrase this year. Well, actually, no, a few weeks ago. ¿Qué es lo que echaste de menos? Te echo de menos. I know it's so weird because it does not translate well. It does not translate into English. So this is why I had to like really force myself to just accept the meaning of it. Because like if I try to translate this, si yo tratara traducir esta frase, sería un caos. Te echo de menos. I'll be missing something or somebody echaste de menos. Así es. Literally, because HR, I think HR, HR, I just realized, acabo de darme cuenta que suena igual que HR, como HR. But it's not. It's a word. That's not just two letters. Sí, te extraño. Eso es normal. Como eso es lo básico. Yo creo que aprendemos. But like is that a Mexican phrase? I can't remember. I think I've heard it from Mexicans mostly. I don't know if I heard it from other people. Verdad, te echo de menos. Es tan extraño. Yeah, I don't know where that phrase comes from, but for me, it's difficult to memorize. That's all I can say. Sí, a mí también. Te echo de menos. But yeah, back to dreaming though. Dreaming in Spanish is really fun. The first time I did it, I thought I was like fluent. I was freaking out like, that is dream in Spanish? Acabo de soñar en español. Yo soy nativo. Yo soy latino. Yo logré todo. But actually at first, it wasn't completely in Spanish, my dreams. They were like, it was like I couldn't even comprehend. I would hear like the Spanish that someone was speaking to me in this dream, but it wasn't very audible. It was just like really mixed up. And then if I try to speak Spanish, like nothing came out of my mouth. It was one of those types of dreams. Like nothing made sense. But I think like the more that I studied, things became more clearer. I could control mi forma de hablar en estos sueños. I could control like the way that I was dreaming in these, or the way that I was speaking in these dreams, and then I could also hear that other person speaking Spanish to me. Like it was a fun experience. But I have not. I don't think I've really dreamed that much in Spanish this year. Unfortunately. Because that's when you really know that your mind is making connections with the Spanish language. If you're dreaming in Spanish, that means when you're not even paying attention, so you're sleeping, your mind is still making connection. Your brain is still trying to think in Spanish and trying to speak Spanish. Like that's amazing. Para mí, es lo que yo diría para esto. En cuanto a los sueños en español. Pero si te acuerdas de los sueños, déjanos saber. So let me know in the chat if you've dreamed before, and if you did, what was that dream about? Me encantaría saber de tus sueños. Ok. Estuviste en un clase de español, qué bueno. ¿Y estabas escuchando al español o estuviste hablando español o qué? ¿Qué exactamente estabas haciendo? Like, how'd you know? Let's see. Were you speaking Spanish or were you listening to your Spanish teacher and they were speaking Spanish? Ambos. Okay, ambos. All right, now the second test would be, do you remember what that teacher was saying, and do you remember what you were saying? And that's a big part of it as well. It's one thing just to have a dream in Spanish. See, that's why, look, that's why you get a pen, saca una pluma, saca un hoja de papel y escriba exactamente lo que soñaste. You have to do that, just that it was in Spanish. Yeah, make sure if you have a dream in Spanish, this is what I should have done. I actually never done this before. So get a piece of paper and get a pen and then write down everything that you remember hearing and everything that you remember speaking as well in the Spanish dream. I think that would be interesting to know as well. Yeah, you see, that's exactamente. Yeah, I think it depends. Sometimes I can remember a dream for like a day or 2 days, like all the details. Todos los detalles antes de olvidarme de todo. Siempre depende. Depende de la persona, porque yo sé unas personas que suenan. Oh, no, yo sé unas personas que nunca suenan, es verdad. Yo tengo amigos así. Me parece muy raro. I have some friends that dream, and I have other friends that like never dream, like ever. But I usually dream a lot. ¿Quieres? Okay, language learning lover asks, ¿quieres aprender otros idiomas? Si yo quiero aprender otros idiomas. So if I want to learn other languages, and la respuesta es sí. The answer is yes. I definitely want to learn more languages. I have a lot more confidence than I've had in the past to speak another language. I actually started learning French this year at the beginning of this year. That was been a very difficult road. I've been quite lazy with that. But I definitely want to learn after French. I want to learn, let's see, I think German, and then I also want to learn Russian as well, if I'm able to. But I think for that, it's mostly just time. I want to be able to be conversational in one language before I move on to the next. So if I can get to become conversational in French, then after that, I'll probably move on to German, or Russian. Okay, you used to write down dreams. That's good. That's good. Ever showed up in your dreams multiple times, but you had no idea why? Ever showed up in your dreams? Yeah. Eso es normal. Creo que eso es normal. Quizás es personas de tu pasado, personas pasajeras en la vida. My niece is fluent. Oh, your niece is a fluent French. Okay, very nice. There's actually, there's a lot of cognates, muchas palabras parecidas entre estos dos idiomas. So like, okay, I'm gonna botch this, but there's a word. So like poner, which is to be able to in Spanish. In French, it's like pouvoir. It's like Povoir. So like they're fairly similar. What else? Is there another one? There's other ones too that are fairly close to each other. I think. Oh, actually, I think venir. See, yeah, cognates. So cognates are words that are similar in between like different languages. So, for example, in Español y Inglés, in Spanish and English, you have carro, which is car. Then you have car in English. So carro and car, those are cognates. I think they actually have some words that are exactly the same. So like in French, they have venir or venir. I don't know how to pronounce it, but then in Spanish, it's also venir, to come. Or in French, you have transportación, and then in Español, tienes. In Spanish, you have transportación. So like those words are very similar. The ones that end with ion. See, cognate. So yeah, got that question. Estoy aprendiendo ruso. Okay, qué bueno. When you get to Russian, definitely language learning lover. When you get to Russian, definitely use Russian Made Easy. Okay, Russian Made. Is that a course? Is that a YouTube channel? Like, what is that? I'm not familiar with that. With that. Con esta vaina. No estoy seguro. No me suena esta palabra. I like that phrase in Spanish too. No me suena. That means like, I don't know how to translate it, but basically means like I never heard of it before. No me suena. No me suena esta frase, no me suena esta vaina, esta cosa, esta cosita. But Russian sounds very hard. I think, yeah, Russian sounds very hard. Yeah, because their alphabet and their words, they're so different. They're just like, when I see Russian words and phrases, I just see rectangles. That's all I see. But I think learning Spanish is definitely a good real. Okay. Gonzi. No. Lo siento. Si me estoy equivocando con la pronunciación de tu nombre. Gonzi. I think it's Gonzi la Spanish. Connect en español. Real, animal. Real, real, animal, animal, color, color, area, area, extra, extra. That's basically the same, but maybe just like a little bit more emphasis on the a, extra. Oh, and the X también, extra. Pero sí, español es un. My name sounds like Gonzi. Okay, Gonzi. Pero más, pero con un acento más español. Pero con un acento español, ¿verdad? Russian Made Easy is a language learning lover. Russian Made Easy is a YouTube channel, website, and a course. Okay. Good to know. Muchas gracias por este recurso. That was also a hard word for me to pronounce all this year. Is a recurso. Yeah, because first you have the R, and you would say that with like ri, un poquito, a little bit of like la doble R, so rolling your tongue a little bit, and then urso. I never really said words like that before, so that was kind of difficult for me to pronounce. Recurso. Yep. Resource. Recurso. Así es. Recurso. So I was doing that for like probably like a month, just saying that word over and over again. Recurso. Spanish dicto. That's what I use. Spanish dicto to figure out what the pronunciation of that was, and then also the Spanish alphabet. But it was hard for me, even if you know the Spanish alphabet, it can be hard to pronounce a word in Spanish. So like this one, if you just take it just like face value, you could probably just say, okay, recurso. Like technically you're still saying each of the letters right in that word, according to the Spanish alphabet, but there's still like a lot more. It's like the combination of the U and the R makes a different sound. Sí, nos vemos pronto. So what other languages are you all learning? So I'm sure if you're in this live, si estás en este video en vivo, you are learning Spanish, pero aparte de español, ¿cuál otros idiomas están aprendiendo? What other languages are you learning apart from Spanish? Because learning two at the same time is not easy. It took me a very long time to get a solid study strategy for French and Spanish at the same time. Like it took me probably like 4 or 5 months, I think, before I actually got more serious about learning French. I started French in January, but I really wasn't studying consistently French and Spanish at the same time until like probably April, like the middle of April, because it was just so difficult for me. and because I was lazy. I'll say mayormente, mayormente porque tenía mucha pereza. I was very lazy trying to learn two languages the first time. But then I was like, I'm not going to be too hard on myself because I'm learning two languages at one time. Like that's not easy, and I've never done them before. So I have to like literally have to start from the bottom and create my own strategy. Create my own strategy to learn two languages at once. My Spanish language says I had a Russian accent. Russians trill their R's. Oh, they do. Oh, okay, I guess so. I guess they do trill their R's. Okay, amas español, Gonzi, los Spanish, ames español. Yo también. Yo soy amante del español. Language learning lover. My Spanish language partner said I had a Russian accent. LOL. Ja ja ja. Russians chill their R's hard. Yeah, I guess they do. I never really realized that too much. If you could give me like a word in Russian, I wanna try to pronounce it. They definitely do that. Like right now, I can't think of that actual word. I don't know how to spell in Russian. French and Spanish, sí, yo estoy aprendiendo dos idiomas a la vez, español y francés. Finalmente. Before, if you would have asked me that like a few months ago, I would like, nah, not really, because I wasn't really studying French like that. Sputnik. But like, I mean, like a Russian word that has like the trilling R, like language learner lover said. And then, okay, Gonzi loves Spanish. I'm finally starting to trill my R's now. That's good. Trilling the R's is fun. Do I have any Spanish words in front of me right now? Oh, I have amarrar. That one's fun. Amarrar. Oh, you can see it. Amarrar, to tie. Estoy amarrando las piernas del pollo. I love Roma R's. Lesser known languages. Okay. Express dude asks, are you going to learn any smaller Romance lesser known languages? I'm not sure exactly. Could you name some? Because I don't know what would be considered a lesser known Romance language necessarily. I'm not sure. Gonzi loves Spanish. Isn't Russian written differently? So you would have to use a phonetic pronunciation? Estoy seguro que sí. Posiblemente, no estoy seguro. Me falta el conocimiento de Rusia. O de, ¿cómo se dice? How do you say Russian in Spanish? Like the actual Russian language. Is it Ruso? No, Ruso is like como, it's like persona, like una persona rusa. Okay, Ruso. And then Rusia is a país. And then Russia is Rusia. Right? Is that how you say Russia in like Galicia? Okay. No, okay. So Gunzy Loves Spanish says, isn't Russian written different though? So you have to use phonetic pronunciation. And then Language Learning Lover says, sí, pero es fácil. I like the confidence. Russo. And then is it Galician? I don't know how to pronounce that. Are we saying that like with like an English pronunciation or Spanish pronunciation? Is it Galician? Galician? But I'm not familiar with that one. I've heard of that before, but I haven't looked into it. To be honest, Privyet. Okay. Oh, we'll get to that in a second. So Express dude. So Galician. I'm not sure. I mean, it's a possibility. Like right now on my radar, the only languages I'm trying to learn right now, I think looking towards the future are. So right now I have French and Spanish. I think like next year, if I'm able to get conversation on French, I want to get to German would be probably my next language I would want to learn. German. because I like the way that it sounds. It sounds very strong, kind of like Spanish. Probably be German. Then after that, it would probably be Russian. Russo. And then okay, here we go. And then language learning lover. She's teaching us. Nos está enseñando un poco de ruso. So she was just, sorry, I can't even see the picture. I'm sorry, so I won't say like ella or el. But language learning lover says that Russians, they trill their R's a lot. And one word that they put was privyet. And I think privyet means like, does that mean hello? Privyet. And then going to Spanish, Russo is Russian and Spanish. Language learning lover, there are Spanish and Russian cognates, like the word for library. I had no idea. Nobody cuenta. I misspelled Spanish. No hay problema, ya tú sabes. Hablas ruso. Hablas ruso, ¿verdad? Qué bueno. And Express, dude, I want to know more about the smaller Romance, lesser known languages, because I'm not familiar with them. So that would be nice to know. What other ones are available to learn? That'd be nice to know. So, language learning lover, how would you say library in Russian then? ¿Cómo dirías la biblioteca en ruso? And that is also kind of confusing too. The difference between librería and then biblioteca. Biblioteca, librería. Librería. Pretty sure that's a bookstore. La librería. And then the biblioteca, la biblioteca. Like the one Spanish word that everybody knows, donde está la biblioteca, is library. That was a good conjugation to say dirías, suave, suavecito, ya tú sabes. La pronunciación es la clave. To say, I didn't say dirías though. I didn't say dirías. Are you saying like that was a good, Gonzi loves Spanish, are you saying that was a good conjugation? I didn't say dirías though. I didn't say it in Spanish. I said a different word. Oh no, I said librería. Unless I said a different word that you're referring to. Pero no sé. Estoy diciendo un montón de palabras. No recuerdo. No recuerdo, lo siento. No recuerdo bien. I have like too many words going through my head right now. I don't know. Pero dirías, I think dirías would say, you would say dirías. And then what's I'm trying to think of, dirieron, so dirierra. You would say, I think that it would be, yeah, exactamente. Because of the Spanish, you would say dirías. Yo diría que sí, eso es una frase, o es una palabra muy útil cuando quieres empezar una conversación o simplemente una frase con alguien. And me use one thing, yeah. Por ejemplo, yo diría que el sol es muy caliente. I would say that the sun is very hot. So like diría is like really good for that. For explaining, gotta go enjoy the chat. Thanks for coming. Language learning lover. Que te pase bien. Micrófonos, ¿para qué? Why do you want? I wish we had microphones too. Oh, para hablar. Okay. Yeah, I mean, at least we have the chat. The chat is bastante. Funciona. Sirve para comunicarnos. Por lo menos, por lo menos. Sí, claro. Sí, me encanta compartir. Me encanta compartir, compartir experiencias así. Yeah, I was just saying, I love to share different experiences. Share experiences with other language learners is such a fun time. Express dude, I don't want to say too much because I'm not a linguist or heard them in person at all. I only know they exist. Oh, no tienes que ser un lingüística. No hay problema. Just kind of, you can just say whatever you know. Lo que se viene a la mente. Never heard them in person at all. Yeah, I don't think I have. Or if maybe if I had, I'm trying to think in Spanish right now. Si yo había escuchado a estos idiomas, yo no creería que yo sería capaz de, ay Dios, imitarlas, algo así, detectarla. Do you ever join meetup language groups to practice your Spanish? That's a good question. We'll come back to that in a second. We'll come back to that question in a second. I don't want to say too much. So yeah, I'm not a linguist. Yeah, you don't have to be a linguist. You don't have to be an expert or anything like that. But yeah, I would definitely look up those other Romance languages. I don't. There's so much out there. I mostly just been focusing on Spanish for the past few years, and then now French. So I'm just kind of getting, I guess, over to that side of the world, I suppose. Gonzalo Spanish asks, do you ever join meetup language groups to practice your Spanish? So I've done this one time. Oh, sorry. I've done this 2 times. And it was a good experience because there was it was una mezcla de gente. It was a mix of people. There was people around my age. So yo tengo 26 años. I'm 26 years old. So there's people who were in their 20s. There was people in their 30s. There was people in their 50s. I met a woman who was actually Russian, who was learning Spanish. I think there was a guy from India there. Who else? Sí, yo soy bebé, como todos me dicen, como todos me llaman. Siempre me llaman, yo soy bebé. Tú eres un bebé. I'm like, no soy bebé. Yo tengo 26 años en este mundo. Eso es mucho. Yo tengo mucha experiencia. Por favor. Así es. ¿Verdad? Wow. Ok. Entonces sí, yo soy joven. Yo soy bebé. Ok, bueno, felicidades a ti por aprendiendo español cuando tienes 60 años. See, that's what I like. That's what I like to see. Gonzalo Spanish I was going to say has 60 years old. Is 60 years old in English. Or has 60 years. Yeah, so that's fine. Has 60 years. 5 years. So okay. Learning Portuguese and Spanish here. Okay, King Tao. Qué bueno saber. Muchas gracias por compartir con nosotros. Thank you for sharing with us. Learning Portuguese and Spanish. See, those two, Portuguese, I don't think I actually want to start learning because like just thinking about Portuguese words right now just makes my head spin because like they seem so close to Spanish, but they're not. And I don't know how difficult it would be to separate those 2 languages. It seems like they took most of the words and in Spanish, and then they just swapped the letters, like the what do you say, Quinta? What did you learn first? The letter placement. That's what it seemed like to me with Portuguese. ¿Qué pasó? Goes the Spanish, King Tao. What did you learn first? Yeah, that's what I would like to know. Which language did you learn first? El Portugués or Español? And how did you separate the two languages? That's probably the biggest one for me. And that will also help all of us. Anybody else who wants to learn Portuguese and Spanish at the same time. They were very similar written, but pronounced differently. Yeah, I think that's the hard part. Because it's already difficult enough for me to get the spelling of Spanish words correct, and then have to go to Portuguese and then Portuguese, and then like do the exact same thing. Like just like the letters are so similar, like the placements are so similar. I feel like I would get mixed up all the time. Oh, okay. King Tao, Portuguese is a lot different from Spanish pronunciation. Yeah, it sounds, yeah. It's like you expect it to sound like Spanish because there are, there's some cognates, right? But then it just sounds like very mixed up because you try to make sense of it. Like, oh, this is Spanish, but your brain's like, no, this is not Spanish. I can't understand this at all. Goldie loves Spanish. I was doing it too, but I stopped learning Portuguese. ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué dejaste de aprender portugués? It would actually be easier if the words were exactly the same but pronounced differently. Sí, yo sé, pero a la vez, para distinguir las palabras, para separarlas y pronunciarlas diferentes, eso sería el reto de todo. Eso sería muy difícil para mí, específicamente, porque yo sé cómo yo pienso. Because I mix up words in Spanish a lot too. So sometimes I add, for example, I was talking with my Italki teacher, right? And instead of saying sabrosa, I added like 2 extra words and I said sabarosa. So things like that happen a lot. So that happens with me with Spanish. I'll probably do the same exact thing with Portuguese as well. King Tao says, Portugués es un reto. It's learning Portuguese is a challenge. Gonzi loves Spanish. I stopped because I had a friend who speaks Portuguese, but we lost contact with each other. Ah, okay. Está bien. Pero inténtalo de nuevo, ya tú sabes. Inténtalo. Try again. But yeah, if I ever do learn Portuguese, it'll probably be in like 20 years. Not anytime soon. Because he loves Spanish, I didn't have a problem mixing up the words, just forgetting the Portuguese version of a word. I was already more advanced with my Spanish. Oh wow. Like what advice would you give to like people here like in the live stream, in the video, to not mix up the letters and the words and everything then? All right. Muchas gracias por ser muy activo. Thanks for being so active, by the way, in the chat. Like, this is good. Got a lot of topics to talk about. So, Gozi Loves Spanish says, for example, todo bien en portugués es tudo bem. I don't know how to pronounce that. Tudo bem. Wait, is that burn? Bim? Okay. I would say learn the. Okay. So, Gonzi Loves Spanish is answering my question about how to separate Portuguese and Spanish. And Gonzi says, I would say learn the Portuguese alphabet. See, it's always the basics, right? Strategies for learning new languages or learning languages in general. It doesn't have to be super difficult. Start with the basics. I probably should have thought about that. Sí, por eso, sí. No se pronuncian las palabras iguales. It's slightly different pronunciation, yeah. So I don't know. I'm literally saying it like I would in Spanish, if Spanish had those different words. Tudo bem. Tudo bem. King Tao. So Tudo is Bane, is it, how do you pronounce that specifically? Específicamente. Bain. Because am I supposed to pronounce that like I would in English or in Spanish? Because that one, porque eso haría una diferencia. And then King Tao asks, what do you think of living languages learning materials? I'm not sure if I know what those materials are. Living, you're gonna have to explain maybe a little bit more of that. I'm not sure. Okay, a phonetic pronunciation in English. Okay, so tudo bem, tudo bem. I've never heard that before. So, pero bueno saberlo, bueno saber. Like already, like just looking at that phrase, like already makes my head hurt. My head is tight. So really, that's a difference. Like at least with like French and Spanish, French is like they have like some words that are exactly the same, but at the same time, other ones are complete opposites. And then the pronunciation and they're like opposites as well. Oh, I said it right. Okay, it's not that hard, especially if you start reading it first. So yeah, like you said, start with the alphabet. And probably reading a lot as well. Oh, you know what? And then I guess nowadays you can start using italki. So if I've used italki a lot for Spanish. I could use italki for Portuguese as well. So that's a good idea. And you should, I don't know if you can see it, but I think maybe after the live stream or maybe right now, if you can see the description of the video, you can see the different italki tutors that I use. That I've used this year. I have 3 different ones, two from Spain and one from Mexico. If you want to check them out, and I have videos with those different tutors on my channel as well. And yeah, they're absolutely amazing. So let's see here. Not that hard. Seam is yes in English, but pronounced seam. Wait, hold on a second. King Tao says sim is yes in English or in Portuguese. Sim, but pronounced seam. Okay. Entiendo. I like how the Spanish live chat is becoming a live chat about Russian and Portuguese. But then pronounced scene, okay, is yes. Go to the Spanish. If you were to go to italki or Preply, for example, por ejemplo, if you watch a Portuguese teacher's intro, you would think you were reading Spanish, and the pronunciation is just a little different. Okay, I think I've heard Preply before, but never visited their site or application. I don't even know what it is, honestly. I think I've heard it a few times. I'm just not familiar. Oh no. Oh no, here we go. Tenemos que viajar por el mundo para saber cuál tipo de portugués estamos hablando. Yeah, I can't forget that they speak Portuguese in different countries. Can't forget that. Yeah. Brazilian Portuguese versus Portugal. Yeah, wouldn't be able to tell you the difference. That's good to know. I learned something new today. Okay, I want to know as well. I learned some Brazilian. One thing I want to know: have you ever seen the word Spanish written out as C, or as here? Let me type it in as S-E-A. I have a few friends from the Dominican Republic. When they text me, they say that instead of saying C. or some other people, they say Simon, and I have no idea why. So they have like C. I don't know who else is watching the live chat, but yeah. So like, if you've ever seen this, like, let me know in the chat. So C Simon, and then C is also like C. I don't know how to pronounce it either, but it's Simon and then SAIP. I have no idea why. C, but do you actually say Simon? Do you actually say like the whole? Is there just both meaning? Yeah, it's really interesting. So yeah, I learned that last year. The first time I saw that was last year. This is the first time on your channel. What Spanish like? Hold on a second. Oh, okay, okay. Bienvenidos, entonces. Bienvenidos. King Tao says, "This is my first time on your channel. What Spanish dialect do you model and why?" Good question. Um, so I mean, technically, right now, I'm not focused on any particular dialect, primarily because I'm just trying to increase my overall pronunciation in Spanish. So technically, just my neutral accent, mostly. Pero I've dabbled a little bit with Castilian Spanish. So Español de España. I've had a little fun with that. But let me go back though. So like one of my biggest goals this year was to just to pronounce words better in Spanish. So to do that, I've been working a lot with the alphabet and making sure I just pronounce words correctly in general. So instead of saying hueso and hielo, I'm going to say hueso and then hielo, right? So I've been really working on understanding how to pronounce Spanish words better, because the past few years, I'll say like last year, I wasn't doing that at all. Last year, when I went to the Dominican Republic twice, um, I was trying to just talk as fast as possible. So I ever focused on pronunciation. I wasn't thinking about grammar. And it was the first time that I was actually speaking to a lot of native Spanish speakers. So I was primarily just blabbering. I was not focused on grammar at all. I wasn't focused on pronunciation. So now this year, I realized how bad, how terrible my Spanish pronunciation has been. So that's why I'm focusing a lot on my neutral Spanish. But then as well, this year, I randomly got the desire to to start learning about Spain, to start learning about Spain and Castilian Spanish, because I didn't have any idea of Castilian Spanish whatsoever, because in school they never taught us that. They mostly taught us about Mexican culture and the Mexican ways of saying things, which isn't bad at all. I'm just saying that's just kind of like my background. Don't know anything about Spain, never studied anything about Spain. So I've been like, for the past 3 months, I've been trying to develop a Spanish accent, but that's also been difficult because I know it's going to take a long time, and I've been also very lazy. So the answer is kind of yes and no. It depends on the month. Some months this year, I feel like I just want to focus just on my neutral accent, and then the next month I want to switch to the Spanish one, and then also right now I want to increase the Dominican one as well. So I have like a lot of squirrel moments when it comes to learning languages. Saludos desde España. ¿Cómo estáis? ¿Cómo estáis, Kenobis Salamones? Salamones. Yes, I mean, so basically, I would just say like for the past 3 years, since it's your first time on the channel, the past 3 years I've been learning Spanish on my own, right? But before that, I was learning just informal classes, so in college, and then before that in high school. So I never had any training on specific Spanish accents. I was kind of just learning on the fly. I wasn't really like the past 2 years. I wasn't really focusing on any particular Spanish accent because I didn't know how to do it. I never looked it up. I didn't learn any strategies besides like imitation. But now I'm actually getting more into like the science behind trying to sound, like a native speaker from the Dominican Republic, from Mexico, from Spain, and what are those differences? Because it's actually very difficult. And welcome again, Kenobi Salamones. De España. ¿Y de qué parte eres de España? So I think with like the Spanish accents, for me is mostly just like desire to learn. The more that I learn about the Spanish language, I realize how much I don't know. When I went to Mexico, I realized how big and diverse Mexico was and how much I didn't know. When I went to the Dominican Republic for the first time, I realized again that I don't know anything in Spanish, even though that I would say that I'm quite fluent in Spanish. It's like I can have conversations for hours and hours in Spanish. I went to the Dominican Republic and I felt like a baby. I didn't understand what they were saying. I couldn't use any of the words that they're saying. And the words and phrases that they use in the Dominican Republic are not like in any really other countries in Latino America. Maybe except for like Puerto Rico and like Puerto Rico. But that's kind of like the long-winded answer. I've been very off and on when it comes to learning a dialect, but I never selected just one dialect to learn, and that's it. Just to learn, and that's it. Like, some people, they will learn the Spanish accent and they will use that for like their main accent. I don't like to do that necessarily. I like to use my neutral accent when I meet different people. If I'm talking to someone who's from the Dominican Republic, y voy a hablar como dominicano, así, tan suave, ya tú sabes. But if I'm talking with someone from Mexico, then I can't imitate Mexican accent, by the way. Then I'll try to imitate, their accent as well. So really, I don't really have a home when it comes to having a Spanish accent. I haven't mastered any Spanish accent. I would like to, but at the same time, I'm over the place. One day I want to learn Dominican Spanish. The next day I want to learn Spanish from España. The next day I want to learn Spanish from like Guatemala. But to learn, a new dialect, it takes a long time. That's what I realized after attempting to learn Castilian Spanish. There's so much to know. Okay, so Kenobis, Salamones, bienvenidos otra vez, bienvenidos. Es de Cáceres, is that how you say it? Cáceres. And that's the difficult part of learning like Castilian Spanish. The names of the cities, I've never heard those Spanish words before, ever. So like, or I don't know if they're cities or like states or like departamentos or whatever they are, but like Andalusia and like places like that, I never heard before. I started talking to my one Spanish Italki tutor, and then started to learn more about Spain on my own. I'm like, I don't know any of these words, even though they are in Spanish. Kinovis Salamones says, aquí son las 12:40 de la noche. Ganzi, okay, how to do these live streams. This is actually only my second one. But yeah, I'll try to do some more in the future. I'll definitely try to do some more. Sí, me da gusto que te gustó este live stream, este video en vivo. Thanks for coming. Nos vemos pronto. Que te vayas bien. Que te pase una buena noche. O mañana o tardes. King Tao. Mike Ben has a video channel on his channel, or has a video on his channel analyzing different dialects from the Spanish diaspora. Is very eye-opening. Yeah, I watched a few of his videos. I like him a lot. He does a really good job of telling his story, and I like watching his progress as well. I mean, he's learned a lot. I don't know. I forget how long he's been learning Spanish for. It hasn't been that long. like what, over a year, and he's always, already having, like very in-depth conversations with Spanish speakers. So that's very impressive. So yeah, there's a lot to learn. The more I learn about the Spanish language, the more I realize I don't know, basically. But let me know in the chat what Spanish dialects, accents that you are focusing on, or that you would like to acquire. Adquirir. Another word that was very hard for me to say. Adquirir. To acquire. Adquirir. Hablas muy bien español. Muchas gracias, Kenobis. Salamones. Hablas español muy bien. That's the thing with like the Spanish dialect. So like from Spain, the way that I speak with my accent from Spain is like one person that I've watched on YouTube. Well, like this, I mean, Español con Juan, Latin American Spanish. Very nice. Spanish con Juan, LKR, ella, María Español. Okay. King Tao says that they want to learn Latin American Spanish. Maddie Zaddy, I live in the UK, but I found I prefer Mexican Spanish, so I'm trying to learn that instead of Spain Spanish. Very nice. No hay problema con esto. Te felicito. Also, hi. Hola. ¿Cómo estáis? ¿Cómo estáis? Muchas gracias por venir aquí y compartir con nosotros sobre español, todo lo que tiene que ver con el español. Porque yo creo que somos amantes de este lindo idioma. Saludos. Yeah, the Mexican accent for me, yeah, I was saying previously a while ago that I tried like 2 years ago, but then I quit. I quit like right away. But at the same time, like the method I was using was just one. I used one method to try to learn the Mexican accent, even though there's a whole bunch of them, not just one. Was just like it was just imitation. So I was watching Netflix shows a lot, and then I try to imitate them. But that is not the only way that you can learn how to adquirir un acento en español. There's a lot of different ways that you can acquire a new accent, a new Spanish accent. But it definitely takes time. That's all I can say. It's not like a de noche a día, tipo de cosa, tipo de vaina. No es así. It's not a very fast thing. You really have to immerse yourself in the culture, learn a lot of new vocabulary, learn new phrases, and then also like your pitch of your voice, the tone of your voice, your pacing. Like someone from whatever. I'll say someone from Mexico may not have the same pacing as someone from like Costa Rica or from Paraguay, or from a different country in Latin America. So that's also kind of difficult. You have pacing, you have pitch and tone, then you have the Spanish words themselves. Kenobis, Salamones, like for example, from my Italki teacher, I learned the word no escatiman, no escatiman, and I never heard that before. even like hearing it in context was kind of weird. No escatimas de, was it like comida? O el sazón, o algo así. No escatimas. But let me know in the chat what other accents. No escatimaste en gastos. Okay. No escatimaste en gastos. I want everybody to look into the chat right now at what Kenobi Salamones just typed. No escastimaste en gastos. Escastimar. I never heard that verb until I talked with my Spanish Italki tutor this year. Está bien. Okay. Las que has dicho también está bien. That's like the best Spanish accent that I can do. no escatimaste en gastos. What else do they say in Spain a lot? Vale. They say vale a lot. Like the amount of times that I've heard la patata is crazy. I feel like I've heard la patata like too many times, which is potato. So it's not papas, but la patata. Pero en este caso, la patata. Wow, ¿qué más? ¿Qué más? ¿Qué más tenemos? Tío, vale, vale, vale. Sí, me encanta el uso de tío. Tío. And for whatever reason, I think in what's that show called? In Money Heist, right? ¿Cómo se dice en español? Oh, La Casa de Papel. La Casa de Papel, yo había oído de la palabra Spiderman. Spiderman, like Spider-Man. I don't know what that means. And then, of course, you have joder. That is a very useful word. Por varias razones. Os atimaste. Tío. I'm starting to like the Spanish accent. I used to never like it. Because, I didn't know anything about Spain. Yo era súper ignorante de todo. Todo lo que tiene que ver con España. De la gente, no sé nada de la gente, ni de la comida, ni de las ciudades, ni de la historia y su importancia en todo el mundo. No sabía nada de nada, ¿vale? But yeah, I'm glad I did started this journey with Spain. Because it's kind of interesting to learn, where it came from, the language came from. So, and how different the language has become just from being in a different part of the world, right? Because it's quite different. Castellano is super diferente. And what's the there's another they speak two different languages in España. Hablan dos idiomas en España. Uno es castellano y el otro es catalán, pero catalán no es lo mismo que español, ¿vale? Yo quiero saber más de eso. ¿Qué exactamente se habla más catalán en España o castellano? ¿Cuál de las dos? Español, catalán, gallego, vasco, sí, además hay demasiados idiomas ahí. Hay demasiados. Qué loco, tío, qué loco. Eso me sorprendió tanto, tío. Te lo juro. Que hablan tantos idiomas ahí. Sí, muchos idiomas. Uh-huh. And that's why I love learning Spanish. Because who would have thought that in Spain they speak Español, Castellano, Catalán, Gallego, y Vasco? Who would have thought? Unless you would actually, study a little bit about Spain. Pero todos hablamos el español. Canibus Salamones says, but everybody speaks Spanish. Okay, that's good to know. I know I've watched one video on YouTube. I can't remember the YouTuber, and they had I think it was on Easy Spanish, the Easy Spanish channel. They talked about who speaks Catalan and who doesn't, and like the importance of it, something like that. So they have a good video that you can watch, Easy Spanish. All right, who else is? Oh, actually, what I do want to know is, does anybody know anything about Spain? ¿Qué sabes de España? What do you know about Spain? Have you learned? Are you learning the excuse me, perdóname, el acento español, the Spanish accent? Let me know in the chat if you are. I want to know how many people are learning that particular accent. Because I had no intentions, never thought I would ever be, diving into Spanish culture, and trying to learn about Spain, the country as a whole, and the people and everything. I never had any desire until this year. Maddie Zaddy says, I don't know much, honestamente, y yo no sé mucho. Ok, está bien. Ponte a estudiar. ¿Vale? So actually, I want to ask you. So Maddie Zeddy, question for you: why are you trying to learn Mexican Spanish, specifically? Why do you want to learn Spanish from Mexico? There's so much to learn from Mexico. There's so much. It's way more diverse than I could ever imagine. Before I went to Mexico in 2019 for the first time, I didn't know anything at all. I like to say I go say something. Un verdad de mí. While we await Maddie Zaddy for her response, I used to think that all of Mexico had the same climate. That like there was no difference or variation in the weather there. I had no idea until I went there, and then I started talking to people, and then after when I came back from Mexico, I started to learn more. I was like, oh, actually have a lot of different climates, just like in the U.S. So that was pretty interesting to know. Different climates, a lot of different accents too. In Mexico, a lot of different accents. It's amazing. It's phenomenal. Okay, Maddie Zaddy says, I guess because I'm from the U.S., yo también, yo nací aquí, yo crecí aquí en los Estados Unidos, and I'm used to Mexican Spanish, and I have a lot of Mexican friends. I'm used to that dialect, I guess, and I think the culture is really, really beautiful. Yo también. Estoy de acuerdo contigo totalmente. Es una cultura muy linda. Amazing. Also, my language partner right now is Mexican, and I love her, so that's skewing my perspective too. Okay, sí, no hay nada de eso. You know, having language partners, having friends, your environment, has a lot of influence on, the type of Spanish that you're learning. Like where I was living before, there was a lot of Mexicans as well, and but not many other Latinos from other countries. So in that kind of case, if you have obviously if you have a lot of Mexicans versus Puerto Ricanos, or Dominicanos, or Cubanos, then you're primarily going to be learning from that particular group, unless you're studying on your own. I mean, because like where I used to live, there used to be like we had Mexican markets. There was Mexican markets. There was Mexican barberias, like barber shops, Mexican stores, a lot of Mexican stores. So like everything was like very Mexican centered. But other than that, there wasn't any other stores that weren't Mexican. There were some restaurants that were from like Colombia, and I think from like Spain, but like everything else was like from Mexico. También, Maddie Zaddy, your language partner. Where are it's not where did you find your language partner at? Did you find them in like an application, or is it something that you know in like in your daily life, like from like work or something like that? Si no te molesta compartir con nosotros, if it doesn't bother you to share with us. A little poll. All right. Maddie Zaddy says, actually, I took a few classes with this tutor on Italki and she connected us. Oh, a través de la aplicación o la plataforma mejor Italki. Que bueno. My language partner was one of her students who was trying to learn English. Wow. And we stayed in touch. That's interesting. I've never heard that before. An italki teacher, an italki teacher introducing another student to another language learner. Wow, that's that's it's una cosa nueva para mí. That's awesome. Sorry, this is my computer is kind of running a little slow right now. I don't know why. Está super despacio. You know, that's awesome. Are there any? Do you have any other language learning partners, or just that one that you met through italki? Maddie Zaddy. Esa pregunta es para ti. That question is for you. Because language partners are very helpful. Me sirve de mucho. All right, Maddie Zeddy. Yeah, so I met this guy on Reddit from Costa Rica, and I talk to him once a week. Awesome. Yeah, no, Reddit's Reddit's amazing. Have I ever met? Okay, I've only met one. Yeah, I met one girl from Costa Rica in college, but that was it. But we need to speak Spanish though. But yeah, I use Reddit for any kind of questions I have about Spanish grammar. Like it could just be about like, oh, what's the difference between por versus para, and then you have like a whole bunch of people answer your questions. Well, hopefully, but most of the time I've had a lot of good responses to my questions on Reddit. But people are very passionate on Reddit. People are extremely passionate. That's one thing that I've noticed. When people respond to your questions on Reddit, you'll see like blocks of text como esto, como tantos parafos. Manny Zeddy. Oh yeah, I've only had good experiences on Reddit, but they're definitely passionate. You're right. Yep, I've had a lot of good experiences on Reddit as well. Yeah, I made a video on I think language learning. No, not I don't think I do know. You'll say of language learning platforms. Yeah, then I had Reddit on there. Reddit, Discord is good too. Discord is good because it's live, like live messaging, like what we're doing right now on this live chat here. Why? ¿Por qué no parece? Oh, ahí está. Dos. Okay, ya tenemos dos. Yeah, so with Reddit, Discord, I like Discord a lot because you can talk with different language learners, not just Spanish learners, but other language learners within different groups, and then they also have like different like topics. Like you could be talking about memes, you could be talking about books and things like that. So I enjoy that a lot. All right, are you learning Mexican Spanish for the little poll that we have here. I think poll in Spanish is encuesta, la encuesta, si no me equivoco. But we have 3 votes, and in Spanish, 67% have yes, 60, ay, 60, ay Dios, 67% dijo sí, y 13%, 30, you know, what I'm trying to do right now is like speak in the hundreds. Es encuesta. Muchas gracias, Diego. 67 dijo sí y 33% dijo no. Correcto. Muchas gracias, que no ves Salamones. Diego Araya, bienvenidos. Yo no creo que ya habíamos hablado o no hemos conectado aún, pero bienvenidos aquí a mi segunda video en vivo. Ok, Diego Araya asks, ¿cuáles otros dialectos de español se aprenden en los Estados Unidos, aparte de mexicano? Español se aprenden en... So I can't really speak for other people necessarily. Yeah, I really can't. ¿Quieres ser un poco más claro cómo te refieres a las escuelas? ¿Qué es lo que enseñan en las escuelas? ¿O cuáles son los dialectos más populares en este país? Dímelo. Porque solamente puedo hablar sobre mi propia experiencia con mi tiempo en la escuela, en la primaria, o no, en la secundaria, en la preparatoria, y también en la universidad. Para mí, en la escuela mía, solamente nos enseñaron la forma de hablar de México y solo esto. Pero tampoco no nos enseñaron mucho de español, en verdad, solamente lo básico, ¿me entiendes? Entonces yo no puedo decir para todos. Oh, ok, lo siento, acabo de ver tu mensaje. Diego Araya says los más populares. So like, what are the dialects, the most popular Spanish dialects in the United States, apart from Mexico? So I guess that's a good question. I would probably have to say Puerto Rican, los puertorriqueños. So the Puerto Rican dialect, just because they're part of the U.S. And there's a lot of Puerto Ricans here. I think they have a big influence in a lot of different cities, big cities, Miami, Nueva York, Los Angeles. I guess the Puerto Rican dialect, el dialecto puertorriqueño. ¿Qué más? See, para mí es difícil. Like, for me, it's hard to say because I used to live in Minnesota. So like in Minnesota, like there was nothing besides Mexican Spanish. There wasn't really any other Latinos there. Hubo pocos latinos que vivían ahí, entonces yo no podría decir de la popularidad de otros dialectos en otros estados, porque yo no sabía, en verdad. Puerto Rico, el dialecto puertorriqueño, yo diría es como quizás primero en la lista. I want to think more about it. That's a good question. I want to think more about it. I might ask some of my friends. Yo quiero preguntar esta pregunta que más he hecho a otros de mis amigos que son de otras partes de los Estados Unidos, para que vean sus respuestas. Porque eso es una pregunta que me fascina saber la respuesta de las otras personas. Porque nadie me había hecho esta pregunta, de verdad. Sí, de nada. Con placer. King Tao. Antes de movernos o antes de cambiarnos al otro tema, ¿de dónde es Diego Araya? ¿De dónde es? And then King Tao asks, do you think people tend to get nerdy when learning to speak Spanish or any language? It's about communicating with common everyday people for me. Okay. Diego Arraya es de Costa Rica. Ok, bienvenidos. Y saludos de los Estados Unidos. Saludos. Muchas gracias por estar aquí. I think people do nerd out on learning languages, but that one, and yeah, so you think it's for communicating with common everyday people? I think it really depends on what your desire is, right? Wait, what are your goals? People have so many different goals when it comes to learning new languages. For me, it has changed. The past 3 years I've been learning Spanish. Dedicating my life to learning Spanish and getting more serious and things like that. My goals have changed. Before, I just wanted to learn how to understand telenovelas, and then it progressed to wanting to be able to understand Spanish music, and then it went to wanting to understand more of the Spanish culture and to have a deeper knowledge of the Spanish language. And then from there, it became, okay, I want to learn everything about the Spanish language. I want to be able to communicate with Spanish speakers. I want to have a job in Spanish. Y quizás yo quiero casarme con una Latina. Like, I want to marry a Latina. Like, I want to fully immerse myself in Spanish culture. Y de igual modo, yo quiero mudarme a un país Latino. Then I also wanted to, move to a country in Latin America. So, like that was my progression. I think for a lot of other people, they have their own goals. So maybe it can't just be, communication, just, communicating with, the common day people, or would you say common everyday people? But for others, they're actually very passionate about the whole process of learning languages, right? Kenobis Salamones, me voy a dormir. Ha sido un placer. Ok, mucho gusto. Nos vemos pronto. Ojalá. Kenobis is going to sleep. Saludos. Saludos de los Estados Unidos. Por mi parte. Nos vemos. Que te vaya bien. Que te pase una buena noche. Y mañana. Yo sé que es muy tarde. But yeah, as far as people, nerding out on the process of language learning, because I mean, there's so much involved with the process, and sometimes for some people, they can't have conversations with native Spanish speakers as easily as other people. So nos vemos en la próxima. Hasta luego. So I think with that, some people fall in love with the process because there's so many different ways to learn languages. I read books. I read books in Spanish. You can read books in Spanish. You can have conversations with Spanish speakers. You can listen to Spanish music. You can write in Spanish. You can, you can think in Spanish. There's a lot of other things that are involved with learning the language. That's not just communicating with everyday people. And that that kind of sounds counter to what I usually say. I usually try to promote communicating with Spanish speakers, but I'm just trying to kind of push back on that as well. People definitely do nerd out on on learning languages, and it's not just about communicating, but they fall in love with the actual process. I fell in love, me enamoré con el proceso de aprender un idioma nuevo or un nuevo idioma. So I fell in love with the process as well. So I don't just want to communicate. I just don't want to just do a job in Spanish, but I like every single aspect of learning a language. I like trying to increase my pronunciation skills. I love learning new lyrics of Spanish songs. I like to immerse myself in the Spanish culture. I like to read in Spanish, but then also read about Spanish culture, Spanish history. So I hope that answers your question. And then I guess with some people's desire is to know everything about Spanish grammar. They love Spanish grammar. They really want to have a good foundation and have a deep knowledge of the Spanish language. In that way, other people, they don't care about grammar at all. They may just care just about the simple the simple communication piece of learning Spanish. So I hope that answers your question. If it doesn't, let me know. Déjame saber, por favor. As you can see, like I'm nerding out right now. I'll talk all day about that. Pero déjame saber si ya te respondí a tu pregunta. Okay, Maddie Zaddy, good night. Bedtime for me. Okay, que te pase una buena noche. Nos vemos. Have a good night. Muchas gracias por venir y compartir con nosotros. Thanks for coming and sharing. King Tao, cool. I just want to know your opinion. Okay. Yeah, I think a lot about that question, honestly. It's a good question. It's a good question. I think I used to be more about communicating like last year, because in 2020 I was never communicating with Spanish speakers at all. 2019 I wasn't speaking much with Spanish speakers, and then in 2020 I spoke to probably like my first Spanish speaker in person, just kind of like on my own. Besides I went to Mexico in 2019, so I tried to speak to Spanish speakers there. But then in 2020, when I came back home, I probably talked to a few Spanish speakers in person, but then the rest of the Spanish speakers that I was talking with, they were all through Hello Talk, and that was it. So I wasn't really talking with different people like on the street or anything like that. And then now, my focus wasn't really on communicating. And now this year, and then last year in 2021, that's all I was doing. I was focused completely on communicating with Spanish speakers. So as many as I could, like at the gym, on the street, in restaurants, as much as I could. And like the same thing this year. I've met so many Spanish speakers for like the past 2 years. Okay, Diego Araya tiene una pregunta, has a question. ¿Qué opinas sobre el español de España? ¿Lo has estudiado? All right, so Diego Araya asks, what is my opinion about Spanish in Spain? About the Spanish, I'm trying to translate right now. I'm sorry. Sobre el español de España. About Spain that is spoken in Spanish, and then if I have studied it. So yeah, I kind of touched on this earlier. I actually did not like Spain for whatever reason. Like, porque yo era muy ignorante. Yo era muy ignorante de todo lo que tiene que ver con la historia, la cultura de la gente de la España antes, como en la preparatoria y en la universidad, porque no nos enseñaron nada de nada, y también a la vez no tenía ganas para estudiar las cosas de España. Pero hoy en día yo soy un poco más, yo creo, inteligente, y yo quiero saber más de otras culturas en español de cualquier parte del mundo latino. Entonces, este año yo he empezado mi camino aprendiendo español de España. Y para mí me encanta aprender más palabras, más vocabulario, más frases de otros países en Latinoamérica, porque lo que me sorprendió de español durante mi camino es qué tan diferente es todos los idiomas, todos los dialectos y el vocabulario. Por ejemplo, en México no hablan lo mismo que la gente en la República Dominicana. Es como dos países diferentes con sus palabras y frases curriculares. Y para continuar con España, la misma cosa. Yo estoy aprendiendo nuevas frases, como escatimar. Estoy aprendiendo más palabras en español, como las ciudades en español, como Andalucía, Galicia, y cosas así. Y esas palabras suenan muy diferentes, muy distintas que otros que yo había escuchado y también estudiado. Entonces es como estoy, ¿cómo se dice? Está abriendo, okay, no puedo decir esa palabra, estaba aprendiendo mi mente más a otras culturas y también de otras pronunciaciones de palabras y la gramática de otros países. Y también yo creo que es bueno saber un poco de España, por lo menos lo básico de España, de la gente, de la cultura, la historia, la música, porque es el centro de español, ¿verdad? Es el centro de castellano. Entonces, yo creo que todos los estudiantes de español deberían saber un poquito, solamente un poquito, de la forma de hablar en España y la influencia de España con castellano, porque en otros países como México y en todos los países en Sudamérica y Centroamérica tienen un dialecto distinto que no es el mismo que el dialecto en España. ¿Y por qué? Esto es lo que yo quiero saber. ¿Por qué es tan diferente? Porque están diferentes los dialectos entre esos países, pero todo viene de un país, solo un país. ¿Por qué es tan diferente? Y como yo soy este tipo de persona que quiere saber como estas cosas específicas de la cultura. ¿Cómo sucedió esto? ¿Cómo sucedió que en Costa Rica, la República Dominicana, en Cuba, en Perú, hablan el mismo idioma, pero hay una variedad de palabras y frases y también como todo es diferente? ¿Por qué? Si el origen del idioma castellano vino de España. Eso es mi respuesta para ti. Es lo que yo opino hoy en día. Es que me encanta España hoy en día. Antes no hice caso con el país. nunca sabía nada de ahí. Y me encanta aprender más español. Y por ese deseo es la razón por la cual yo empecé a estudiar más de España. Y también me, me enamoré con su forma de hablar también, porque es diferente, es muy diferente que otros países, pero nunca sabía. Y es un rito en todo el sentido de la palabra, para adquirir un acento nuevo. Y por eso me encanta también el proceso de adquirir un nuevo acento como lo de España, cuando no me acostumbre a este acento nunca. So that's my answer, basically. I just started studying a little bit of Spanish from Spain this year, just because of my desire to learn Spanish. I was like, well, I don't know anything about Spain. I don't know anything about the Spanish culture. So, let's do it. So I started taking some Italki lessons. Yo empecé a tomar clases de una plataforma en línea cuando puedes tener clases formales, más como lecciones y conversaciones con profesores. Se llama Italki. So I started taking some Italki lessons so I could have more exposure to Spain and how they speak to their culture, because I didn't know anything whatsoever. And no me gusta ser muy ignorante. I don't like being really ignorant. And if I'm going to be very ignorant about like the origin of the Spanish language, I was like, nah, I don't want to do that. Let's see here. So the next question I want to know from everybody is, how did you find out about Spanish blueprints? We'll do a little poll here. Actually, I won't do that. Oh, Diego Arraya también, déjame saber si ya te respondí a tu pregunta, porque yo sé que yo di un montón de cositas. Yo expliqué demasiado. But how did everybody learn about this channel? Let me know in the chat. How did you learn about Spanish blueprints? Solo para mí, just so I can know. espero tus respuestas. Another question I'd like to know from you all is, what has been the best thing about learning Spanish for you? Like, what has been como lo más impactante? O ha sido lo más impacto de tu vida? What has been the biggest impact of learning Spanish for you? For me, it's mostly been being able to have conversations with native Spanish speakers. Like that has changed my life completely. Being able to communicate, like reduciendo y destruyendo la barrera de idiomas, destroying that barrier to that barrier of languages to be able to speak with another person has been like absolutely amazing. I love being able to communicate with another native speaker. Native Spanish speaker, be able to learn about their culture, learn about where they're from. You know, what foods do you eat? Or, you know, what do you do on the weekends? You know, it might be different from what we do in my country. I like to do a lot of comparisons like that. It's really interesting because people live differently all over the world. That's probably been like one of the biggest impacts in my life when it comes to learning Spanish, is learning about el resto del mundo, fuera de los Estados Unidos, learning about the rest of the world outside of the United States. Pero si nadie tiene una pregunta más, if nobody has another question, creo que llegamos al final de este video en vivo. We have reached the end of the stream. If anybody else has another question, let me know if you have any questions at all about my channel, about my Spanish learning experience. If you have any questions, let me know. And if not, eso sería el final. Y terminamos. All right, eso es el final del video. That is the end of this live stream. Hopefully we can do this again in the future. Y muchas gracias por venir. Thank you a lot for coming. It means a lot. Very special. Definitely love seeing how passionate people are about learning Spanish, how passionate people are about learning a new language. So it's really nice to have this type of interaction, este tipo de interacción, donde podemos compartir, donde podemos juntarnos y compartir entre nosotros, where we can come together and share. Has been a pleasure. Ha sido un placer. Y nos vemos en el próximo video. I'll see you in the next video on the Spanish Blueprints channel. Mi nombre es Josué. My name is Joshua, and I'll see you next time. Muchas gracias por venir.